Hello, so I've been kindly lent a mask to do a video on, and this is the Serbian M3 respirator. Obviously this is its satchel. Let's quickly talk about that first. It's fairly similar to the M2 satchel, although it's like a bit better, but it's got a bit of webbing on there, a bit of Velcro and some poppers or buttons, so you know, all in all seems a good satchel. So what have we got in here? We've got the M3 mask itself, so I'll pop that there a second. We've got the filter for it. And we've also got some chemical gloves by the look of it tucked into the bottom of here. So let's pull those out and have a look. So the chemical gloves, these seem actually pretty damn good chemical gloves, I'm not going to lie. They seem a bit thin, but Fabric Al Canada apparently, so made in Canada. Oh, so it's Airbus gloves, okay. The lighting's not going to be brilliant here, I'm not going to lie, because I can't film it in the other room today with the softbox, but... So these are made by Airbus, the same company that made the Canadian C4. Now that's very interesting, because obviously, what does this mask remind you of? Looks quite a bit, doesn't it, like the Canadian C4 and the US M40. A bit like the Israeli M15. But basically, yeah, Serbia, when they made the M3, it was just, I think, a job of copy of a mask we like the look of. There's nothing wrong with doing that, unless you're a patent holder, I guess, but, you know. So... It's got a similar sort of or a very similar kind of harness on it to the FM12 series by Avon. Basically a 6-point head harness with kind of the skull mesh type thing at the back. You've got your drinking tube in there and your voice emitter. Obviously it's got triangular lenses more similar to like the US style masks like the M40 or the M17 or the M9. And then you've got your primary speech diaphragm on that side, and you've got a blanking plug that acts as the secondary speech diaphragm there, your exhale valves at the bottom, and your filter intake is on that side. And there's a drinking tube. What connector is the drinking tube? Looks very similar to the US style one, but slightly different. I don't have the canteen this connects to. So yeah, all in all seems a pretty straightforward mask. Let's put the filter on and see how good it is. I think this is going to be perfectly acceptable in my opinion. It's at least not made from the melty rubber of the previous Serbian masks or Yugoslav masks. So basically, yeah, this is the mask that replaced the M2 in primary service, you know, the scaled down M9 and 40mm. So this is basically their kind of hybrid mask. You know, domestically designed, but basically just rip off of people's designs. Straps, I'm not going to lie, could be a bit better. As much as I like the harness, the actual way the straps attach to the mask is a bit retro. It's very similar to the older sort of US style masks. Nowhere near as good as the sort of buckles type system on the FM12 or the sort of C4 kind of design. But anyway, let's thread this through, if I can get it to go through. Tell you what, let's put it on, see how tight it is, and then see if I need to loosen it. Pull these shut. This is a size small, by the way, assuming that the S on this actually means small. So the voice diaphragm's a bit buzzy, but I've had that in other masks. Field of view isn't awful. It's got one of those nose cups that definitely interferes with your vision. But yeah, it's not too bad. Hopefully you can hear me fine. The camera seems to be picking up the audio from this mask fine. And yeah, it's certainly a pretty damn good mask for what it is. You know, it's nice to see Serbia is making a mask that's pretty much an S10 sort of generation equivalent. You know, good mask like an M40, an S10, a C4, that kind of gen of masks. Really, I can't think of anything wrong with it. I mean, I don't know how well the rubber holds up over time or anything like that. As I said, all they've done really is copy a load of good masks that already existed and made something that's perfectly serviceable as far as I'm aware. So thank you to Marcus for sending this me, and obviously he'll let me know when he wants it back. And yeah, overall a damn good mask for what it is. Sadly though, these are one of these masks that never seem to turn up on the surplus market very often, because if these turned up often, I'd say, yeah, get one if you want a really good sort of just general purpose respirator. But yeah, the closest thing I can compare it to for the people who actually are familiar with the masks is the S10, the M40 and the C4, and probably the Israeli M15. You know, if you like those masks, you probably like this. It feels very similar to those when wearing it. Obviously it's got better speech diaphragms than the S10 has, because it's actually got a big front speech diaphragm, like the US style of masks and the M15, not just a little secondary side one. But yeah, overall, can't see anything wrong with it really. And let's just hope it's not made from a rubber that mounts, like on the M1 and M2. The crimping on the lenses is pretty interesting, as if you can see that, the crimping is actually done sort of on this side, not the other side of the rubber. If it works, it works. But yeah, seems perfectly serviceable to me. So I said, yeah, Serbia's got a fairly good mask now. Let's just take that off. So there's the XL valve, exact same style XL valve at the bottom as the Canadian C4. Would this cover fit on the Canadian C4? I'll find that out at some later point. But yeah, for the generation of masks this comes from, it's pretty good actually. If you think that the Czechs, for example, had the OM90 as this sort of gen mask, this is way better than an OM90, which is just literally an S10 rip-off, but most of the components in it aren't as good as the S10. Yeah, this is basically, again, somebody taking a look at various masks that were good in a time period and saying, let's copy the bits we like from all of them. And as I said, unless you're a shareholder or a patent holder, and that's not a bad thing if you're a consumer of the mask, it's only annoying if you own a copyright for stuff like that. But yeah, the Serbian M3, kind of a weird love child between an Israeli M15, an S10, an M40 and a Canadian C4. But it seems to work perfectly fine, so there we go, nothing wrong with it.